What is up, YouTube? Welcome back. This is our part 3 to our budget 351 Windsor build. And I apologize for the wait, but we're back at it. I had a few things I had to overcome with the motor, I should say. And I'll fill you in on that real quick. Now, with our budget 351 Windsor that I picked up for $100 and 2 cases of beer, I think that came out to like 142 bucks. Things were going great. Got the deck lapped nice for the MLS gasket, stuff like that. Got the cylinders honed up, cleaned up. But on cylinder 8 here, I should say, yeah, this is cylinder 8. I had some pitting in here that I cleaned up a couple times and just decided that I didn't want to wipe out a ring or have some kind of low compression and then just waste all this time that I've been doing building the motor, and not even, including the time that I've done filming this. So I put the $100 351 Windsor on Marketplace. If it doesn't sell, then I got a block that I could put a sleeve in, and I ran through all the costs of doing that, like putting a sleeve in it. A sleeve alone I think is 400 bucks, and then they got to deck the surface. I thought about going 60 over on all of them. I looked at all the costs, and by the time you get out of the machine shop, it's gonna be 800, 1,000, 1,200 bucks. And I just decided that that is not the route we're going with this build. So I hopped on Marketplace and found another 351 Windsor, and I'll show you guys that one right now. Okay, here's our new, I guess you could say, 351 Windsor. It's a 97 block. I think it's a 97 block. It's an F4TE motor, so it's a factory roller cam motor. It has all the provisions for the roller lifter setup in here, which is great. Now, off camera, already kind of cleaned up the motor a bit. I passed through the bores with a ball hone, and I hit the block before I even did all that. Hit the block with the oven cleaner and got it really clean. And off camera again, I put the camshaft in. And I could have kept going, but I decided, you know what? Let me get some rest, and I'll film this in the morning. Just a couple minutes ago, I hit the deck with 600 grit sandpaper just to kind of clean it up. And I decided not to run an MLS gasket because with this motor, if you don't know, on small block Fords, and maybe other motors too, but where the factory composite gasket doesn't cover, you'll end up with stuff like this. And this is surface rust and pitting. Now, this isn't a huge issue if you're going to run another composite gasket. If you're going to run an MLS gasket, you want to have this decked. And I tore apart this motor that I picked up this motor for 400 bucks, intake to oil pan, and it came with the engine stand. Got it through the engine stand. I kind of negotiated that. I tore it down to a basic block, took the pistons out of it, and found out that this one is also it's also a reman motor. It's already been 40 over, so the bores are clean on this one. I told myself, you know what, to keep this budget friendly, I am going to ball hone the cylinders, clean up the deck, and this is clean enough for another gasket for sure. And the next gasket I get won't actually touch this area down here. So that's nothing to worry about at this point. Did my research, and I think the part number is 9333 PT-1 is the Felpro head gasket we're going to be running. They're only about 20 or 30 bucks at any auto parts store, which I like. I like the idea of being able to go to an auto parts store and get parts when I need it. So we're going to run a composite gasket on this block. And this, like I said, this will be the assembly video. So we got some stuff laid out here. Got the crankshaft, I got the bearings right there. We got the rod bearings, the head studs, and I have some stuff that we kept from the 302. There's our main caps from the 302, our Campbell double roller timing set, the ARP, what is this? Oh, this is the balancer bolt. And then I picked up some dowel pins for the timing cover and the cylinder heads. And we got ourselves a ring filer tool, and this desk and this bench is a mess right now, but we're gonna see what we can do. We're gonna assemble this motor this weekend, so stay tuned. And I feel like I've said this before, but after you clean up your bores, or you have a camshaft that is or if you have a camshaft that's exposed to elements like open air, keep your stuff lubed up. I keep all the cylinders lubed up with motor oil. The camshaft, I think I sprayed that down with like WD-40 or whatever I got laying around, really. And I cleaned everything up. This fluid is just oil that I use to lube up the motor. But off camera, I put the camshaft in, and if you're assembling a motor, quick tip, before you put the crankshaft in, do the camshaft, and you can actually see where the camshaft is going. You're not feeling your way in or out, and that's how I did it. So we put in the main bearings here, and it's really hard to mess up installation on main bearings because there's a little tab in there. There's also a tab provision in the block. You just put the tabs together, click, 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 click all the way in, and then you drop your crankshaft in, which we're about to do here shortly. Here's our main caps, just so you guys can see. Ford numbers these. I'm sure maybe other manufacturers do, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The fifth one is obviously the rear main, and there's also arrows pointing forward. These go to the front, towards the front of the crankshaft snout, towards the front of the motor. It's pretty self-explanatory. Here's our bearing, or here's our bottom of our main cap. Let me see if I can do this one-handed. And we're gonna take this, already lubed this up. There's our tongue right there. Boom. Set this in there evenly. Make sure this is even. And that took way longer than it should have, but I'm doing this with one hand. And here is our first main cap. We got the bearing set in there. We got her lubed up. And make sure this is even on both sides. There we go. Nice and flush with both sides. Take it right over here. We'll set it on there and get the thread started. All right, guys, we got almost all the mains in. Just wanted to make a quick comment. When I install my mains, you want to make sure that it meets the block evenly. So what I do is when I install them, I'll run them down by hand and then tighten them evenly with a socket, just by hand, not even on a ratchet, and just kind of keep an eye on that surface. Make sure the caps and the block are even with each other. Now, I haven't seen this online, and I looked, and I even pulled out some of my own can't see them. I even pulled out some of my old Haynes manuals I got for small block Fords and Fox bodies and stuff about this rear main. Now, on all the small block Fords I've taken apart, I've seen on this rear main a bit of RTV between where the rear main seal would sit and the block. So I got my RTV set up. We're going to go ahead and clean up this cap. I'm going to clean up the surface right there for our RTV and put that bearing in, and then we'll go ahead and tighten it down evenly by hand, and then we'll begin the torquing procedure with the mains all in. We're going to do 3 stages of 40, 75, and 105, and we're going to fire up our budget torque wrench over here. We're going to get started on that. We're going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Kind of working from the center and working out, and we'll start with 40. All right, guys, we got the crank installed, everything torqued to spec, and I'll show you guys. Here we go, rotating nice and smoothly. Now that we have finished that, I have to go get our new pistons pressed onto the factory 351 rods, In the meantime, it is the weekend, so they're closed. I'm just gonna go ahead and gap the rings in anticipation for the installation of the pistons and rods. Here's our Molly rings. Let's see what these are. Not too bad. For a $250 kit, I like it. I think it's got valve reliefs in it. It's got a little coating on the side, and it's either a press or a floating pin style. So depending on what style of rod you're using, you can press this on, like our factory 351 rod is a press style. And if you have a floating pin style, it comes with clips and a retainer inside of here that you can use to retain this pin. All right, so we got the rings gapped, and off camera I installed the timing set. I had a little difficulty with that. I had to do a bunch of research online. I guess 302 and 351 timing sets are interchangeable, but it depends on the brand, I guess. My 302 timing set, which is a Summit brand, I believe, it fit. So we got our ARP cam plate bolt right here, and we're going to go ahead and put some blue Loctite in that and get it torqued down. All right, we got our rings gapped, we got our timing set on, everything's torqued. We got a little pile going on over here, stuff we're gonna paint. Now this right here though is a little different than factory Ford stuff. It looks like a factory Ford pan, but in the side there's a window tray. And this actually come off a marine application 351 Windsor. So I figured if it's good for a boat, it's gonna be good enough for this budget 351 Windsor. I didn't have to spend $300, $400 on a 7-quart pan with the window tray and the dipstick sold separately. So we're gonna clean that up. I gotta choose what set of valve covers I want, because I have a set of 90s F4TE valve covers that came with the motor, and then I have these older, I want to say 70s style valve covers. We got the Fox body timing cover and water pump left over from the 302. I pulled a lot of these parts of. We got our paint right there for dark blue. We got our 4-barrel 31, or I want to say 4150 Victor Jr. clone intake manifold right there, and a slew of 302 parts and 351 stuff I'm trying to sell. And in here we got our head gaskets, bearings, all kinds of stuff in there. Up here we got our our lifter tray and the roller lifters that came out of this F4TE roller 351 Windsor. They're still in great shape. They look a little dirty, but that's just old oil in there. We're gonna clean those up and get those in there. And now that I have the gaskets, I can throw this oil pump on. I'll probably swap out the pickup for another one that I have, and we'll go ahead and start doing that. All right, we got our block flipped over. We're gonna throw on our oil pump and the pickup. And also we're going to be using an ARP oil pump shaft. This goes between the shaft and the distributor, and these tend to twist or snap sometimes. So this is only like 15-20 bucks. So highly recommend you getting this right here. Put the pump on, put the oil pump drive shaft in, and I reused the pickup we had, just replaced the gaskets, and that's pretty much it for now until I get the rods and piston swapped. That's gonna have to wait till next week. Unfortunately, it's the weekend and I can't get that done right now. Unfortunately, the machine shop is closed. So this stuff right here I want to sand down and clean up and paint, along with that intake manifold. But in the meantime, I'm going to tape up the block in preparation for the paint, and I will show you guys how I do this. Basically, you just put tape down and then take a razor blade and run it along the edge of your surface, and that's it. It's really simple. And here's the bottom. All I did was just same thing, put the tape on the mating surface, run my razor blade across it, etch my line where I want to cut, and I threw this garbage bag over the bottom end just to kind of save me some time with all the tape. There's a timing cover where the timing cover is going to sit. We'll get this thing flipped over, and this is the last time you'll see it. It was gray at some point, but we're about to paint it that dark Ford blue. All right, y'all, it's about 2 in the morning, and I got this 351 set up on the stand. In the last clip you seen, we painted the block. I took all the tape off, and it's looking really good. We got the timing set on, and we have the oil pump and pickup on. We got our rods and pistons pressed at Keeners in Palm Beach County. And we're going to go ahead and throw these rods and pistons in here and get this rotating assembly set up. And before we do that, we're going to lube up the bores with ATF transmission fluid. I got a fresh piece of cardboard down here so I don't make a mess. And we got our ultra slick and our torque wrench, and this thing's going to go together, guys. Got our short block together. We got our Speed Pro Hyper Eutectic 40 over pistons in. Like I said before, we got our timing set on there. Everything's set up. Everything moves nice for me. And now we got our Velcro head gaskets right here. This is a composite. This is a part number 9333 PT-1. This is a head gasket that I've seen a lot of small block Ford guys run, about 15 to 20 psi boost. I only plan on maybe running 10. I gapped the rings for 15 just in case I want to go there. And then we got our ARP head studs. Let's see if I can find a part number 154-4203. And we got some ARP lube and all that stuff right there. Yeah, we're going to go ahead and throw this on. Oh, also, pick up a set of cylinder head dowels while you're at it. I think I paid like $3 for those. So let's get right to it. All right, guys, now that we got our ARP head studs in, we are going to go ahead and throw on these Velcro gaskets. Nothing crazy. Here, we put our head studs in, we put our Velcro head gasket in, and we put our cylinder heads on. I cleaned up the back sides of the heads before throwing them on there. And here is our head studs, ARP. Okay. And here is our ARP hardware. Sometimes when you use ARP hardware, there'll be a bevel on here, so just kind of keep an eye out for that. And of course, use your assembly lubricant between the washer and the nut. Also says in the instructions to lube the threads, so we're going to go ahead and do that, and we're going to torque our cylinder heads down. It says here, boop, 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 in 3 equal steps to 110 foot-pounds with ARP Ultra Torque Fastener Assembly Lubricant. So that's just what we're going to do. All right, guys, we got our fasteners just ran down by hand. Nothing crazy. Got the sequence torque sequence is 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10. Help if I focus. There we go. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10. So it's basically 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 and 10, working from the center out kind of thing. And per ARP, their instructions, they want 110 to be the final torque spec in an increment of 3, and which is not actually that far off from what the manufacturer wants. I have it written down here so I don't have to flip through the whole book. Let's see. Cylinder head is 90 to 100 foot-pounds. It's only 10 foot-pounds more than what Ford actually calls for. So with that being said, we're just going to go ahead and do that real quick. All right, that was 37. We're gonna step it up to 73.
Many hours later.
Well, the cylinder heads are torqued, and I guess we'll throw this intake manifold on next. All right, now that we got the cylinder heads torqued, we are gonna go ahead and do the intake gaskets, and I'm already a step ahead. One thing about the small block Fords is you have to put RTV behind and on top of the coolant jackets. So as you can see here, we got a little bead going. Also, you put a bead here on the China wall. They make a gasket that goes there, but it's kind of known to leak. This one's a little ugly, but we're gonna ignore that. Nice bead of RTV going on right there, folks. And there's another one for the coolant jacket. Another one there. My camera can focus properly. Another kind of quick tip, if you have an old intake manifold bolt, cut the head off of it and put them in the center, and that way when you put your intake manifold on, it'll help align it. So let me see if I can do this one-handed here. All right, got the intake manifold down, all bolted up. Tomorrow we'll do the timing cover, valve covers, maybe the oil pan, because I have to weld a return bung for the turbo. So we will see how far we get with that. But here's a little look. Looking good. All right, we are back from the sandblasters, and we got some old 70s Ford valve covers we're going to throw on there. Got those sandblasted. The timing cover, they were able to sandblast this water pump for me without getting any debris in the bearing for the pump, so I appreciate that. And we got 2 different styles of small block Ford water necks because I'm not sure what I'm going to want to run yet. And here we have what looks like a factory Ford oil pan, but in reality this is a baffled small block Ford marine application oil pan. And the benefit to this with our budget build is that it has this windage tray, or I could say baffle. So if it's good enough for a boat that's on the water all day, it'll be good enough for a Fox body that's either going to be going one way or the other. So opposed to buying a $300 oil pan, a $100 dipstick, and a high flow oil pump, for what we're doing, this is all going to work out really well for me. I think I paid 20 bucks on Marketplace for these valve covers. And these thermostat housings I had laying around, this water pump and the timing cover were from my old 302 motor. And this oil pan right here was 100 bucks. And shout out to my buddy Dylan, DFab. He fabbed this in there for me. This is going to be our oil return for our turbo. So quick look at what we got. We're going to clean this up real quick, just a quick wipe down with some brake cleaner and rag, and get some paint on it, get it mounted up on the motor, and we'll be pretty much done from there. All I gotta do after that is the alternator and other accessory drive stuff, and then we'll be ready to rock and roll. All right guys, here we go. Our budget 351 Windsor. Now to kind of summarize our build here, what we have is a F4TE, which is like 94 through 97 351 Windsor from Marketplace. I paid 400 bucks for it, came with the engine stand. We have a Fox body accessory drive here. Now this is a Speed Doctor bracket. This is really simple and clean. I kind of went out of budget. It was 100 bucks for that really. We got a Fox body accessory drive, so the water pump pulley, crank pulley, and alternator pulley, all for Fox body length. We got a Fox body water pump and timing cover I had from another build. We got a Marketplace eBay Victor Jr. like replica intake. We have some 190cc Edelbrock cylinder heads I had from another build. And we have a Marketplace hot side. Those are the headers right there. And I have the cold side and hot side stored in the car right now. We got the intercooler mocked up. We got a Crown Victoria balancer from Rock Auto. And we have a Crown Victoria flex plate, 351 AOD flex plate. And we got our mid plate for a 302 and AOD transmission. Shout out to Matt Heimer and Jupiter Farms. He donated that to me for the free. So other than that, we kind of just did a razor blade rebuild. I cleaned up the deck surface. I hit the cylinder bores with a dingle ball. I got some hyper-eutectic pistons, gapped the rings, new rod and main bearings, and that's it. And as soon as I get my transmission dilemma situated, we'll get it in the car. But for now, that's what you guys get to see. With that being said, guys, that's the end of our video, and I really appreciate all sticking around. Guys, if this isn't a testament to the at-home engine builder that likes to do things on a budget, and guys, trust me, you can do this on a budget. There's plenty of stuff on Marketplace. There's plenty of stuff on Facebook forums. There's plenty of stuff in the junkyard. If you're trying to save some money, just get off your butt and go find it. Go pull it yourself, save some money. Do your research. Lincoln, Ford, Mercury, what have you, 289, 302, 351, whatever it is. There's parts out there and a lot of cross capabilities. I got a marine oil pan. I got a Crown Victoria balancer. I got Fox body water pump and timing cover. I got Crown Victoria flex plate. I got Fox body mid plate. Guys, go build your car, and I'll catch you next time.